Welcome back, friends and family, to another episode of Son of a Mother Show. This is episode 8, and we have my mother and I talking news, life, books, movies, current events, politics, answering questions, any and all of the above. Mom, are you ready?
I'm ready.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know.
Okay, here we are. We're back. And that song is relevant how, Mom? Power.
Well,
I'm sorry,
no.
not Power. Stronger by Kanye.
Stronger by Kanye, because today I am stronger than I was last Thursday. Last Thursday, we were driving to Canada to go to the CERT. And little did I know.
Explain what the CERT is. What is
the Strong First Level 1 SFG certification.
Okay.
And I thought that driving there, I thought I was as strong as I could get.
Yeah. You thought you were prepared.
I thought, I mean, I guess I was prepared because I'm still here. But so I guess I was prepared in a way, but I am definitely stronger. I had no idea you've told me what things were going to be like. Mark kind of prepared me a little bit, but nothing compared me to doing those workouts. Nothing. I did not think my body could do it. I did not know that, when they say you're going to be there from 8 to 6, you get an hour and a half for lunch. I had no idea. We did get instruction, and it's not that we didn't, we'd sit for 2 or 3 minutes and they'd tell us what to do, and then you're doing it. And then, do that back and forth for about 5 or 6 times. And then they're like, okay, drill time. And then you're have to do a hardcore drill, whatever they come up with, Yeah. And there were Friday night, we got out of there. We went and got some chicken at this place called Swiss Chalet. For anybody who's ever been to Canada, that's kind of like their Kentucky Fried Chicken kind of a place.
Not good.
And except for it was grilled. No, it was good. It was fine. It was better than Kentucky Fried Chicken. Oh. And we're sitting there and we're just looking at each other and we're eating, and we go back to the room. We go in the hot tub because we were like, we have to go in the hot tub. And as I laid there trying to fall asleep, knowing I had to sleep, I was like, I don't think I should go back. How am I going to tell him that I don't want to go back there? Because I think that I survived one day, but I'm not really sure that I could do 2. It
was just 2 days, right?
It was just 2 days, and then Sunday was the CERT. Yeah. So we survived Saturday, and actually, so what happened is that we had a dinner with everybody Saturday night. And I got to the dinner and I was like, I'm not as sore as I was last night. How weird is that? And I just worked out for another 10 hours of, I was really shocked. So maybe you could tell me why I wasn't, but I wasn't.
Hey, it's just, it's not anything tangible that you could say. It's just, I think that once you're driving, you're driving how long? How long was the drive?
5 hours.
You're driving, and then you're in a new environment, and you're working out, and you shock your body, right? So then when you do it again, you're like, okay, I can do this. I can do it. Your body's like, everyone reacts differently, because I know that my last strength coach certification was kind of the same feeling, but the second day, it was way worse. So it was. And
it wasn't like they didn't. They worked us out just as hard.
Yeah.
The workout before we had to leave on Saturday, it was really difficult. So it wasn't that. It was just, I don't know. I think that Zach said it was kind of like I got the blood into my muscles and it got everything going.
Yeah, you could.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, sure. So let me give you the blow by blow for Sunday.
Okay, this is the test. Explain what the test is.
Okay, so the test is they check your form on some different things that you have to do, you have to do double. Now, I was using a 26-pound kettlebell. Right. Okay, so for the test, I had to use both of them. I had to use one in each hand to do 5 squats. I had to press them each 5 times. I had to clean them. And that's hard to explain for people who don't use kettlebells, but it's basically like a barbell clean, you know?
You pick it from the ground to your shoulder.
Right, exactly. And so and then there's the test, which is doing a snatch. So that's from you're swinging it through your legs up over your head
with a straight
100 times.
Yeah,
straight arm 100 times.
Okay.
So
with a 26 pound kettlebell.
With a 26 pound kettlebell.
And what's the time limit?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So you're doing 20 a minute.
20 a minute.
Mm-hmm. And they time you. So what they do is they say, they start and then they say 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 4:15, 4:30, and then 5 minutes it's down.
How many pounds was Mark's kettlebell?
44.
And is that based on what? Just men and women?
It was based on our age, because once you're over 50, it's just based on your age, not weight.
So how much would my kettlebell be?
53. What's the next up?
I don't know.
44, 53. Yeah, 53. I think you would have had to do. I'd have to look at it for sure, but I think you'd have to swing a 53. Okay, so
that's pretty tough, my friends. If you don't know, it's coming from
cardio wise, and just strength, and just you have to have an outer body experience to do it, right? So anyway, they line us up in 5 rows. Okay, before the test. Okay, so we get in there, and I'm feeling good, right? I know that I could do it. I figured whatever I can't do, adrenaline will get me through. I'm not that sore. So I was like, wow, I'm not that sore. I'm good. I think I can do this. Part of the test is too that you have to, because you're becoming an instructor, you have to also, they're going to test you on how you spot other people. But I learned all that. I wasn't worried about that. Yeah. So the thing about them is like, they're always pushing you for their next thing. So they all know, like the instructors know that pretty much everybody's going to get close or make it after those 2 days. Nobody goes there not prepared. You're not going to pay that much money to go there and not be prepared, right? Sorry about that. Anyway, so they pretty much know. So at dinner on Saturday night, everybody's sitting around like, what's next? What are we going to do? And, so they get up there for warm-ups, and they said, well, flexibility steel is kind of a next area you could go to, if that's what you want to do. So we're going to take you through a flexibility steel warm-up.
Okay.
Now, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm warmed up. Okay. I already did my thing. I'm warmed up. I don't want to stretch too much, because I'm not used to doing that before. He said, we're going to warm up and then snatch test and then all the other tests. We're just going to get the snatch test out of the way so nobody has to think about it, right? So they divide you up with partners. Now, usually I would go with a partner my own size, another woman. But Mark and I were standing in the back, and he's like, let's just be partners for this, And I said, okay. So we're going in, and they do this stretch that he has to hold on to my arms, and I have to bend down. And so it's a resistance thing. But the deal is for me to open my hips up really wide as it's pulling me. Okay. So he's standing up, I'm bending down, he's pulling me. And as he goes to pull my one arm, my back rib pops. And I knew it. Like, I've had that happen before. Okay. And I was like, oh, no way. So I just said, I'm done, warming up. I was just like, and I put him through his warm ups, and I didn't tell him because I was like, I don't care. I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm still doing this. My mindset was, I'm still going to do this. I can get through this pain. Right. So they line us up in 5 people in a row, and Mark and I just happened to be at the same time. He was in one row, I was in the other, but we were going to be going at the same time, which I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. We're going to finish at the same time, and this is going to be awesome. Right. So it comes our turn, and I keep up with him for the first 50. We're doing 50, at 1, 2, because they count them. Yeah. They got a counter up there, right? Yeah. So they're counting them, and I can feel him next to me, and we're going 1 for 1 and the same one, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome, because I know his time. I know what he's doing in his head, because he's a mathematical genius, and he's got it down to the second of how many he's going to do, right? Yeah. So I was like, all I got to do is follow him, right? And number 50 comes, and the thing digs into my lungs, and I drop the bell. I was like, I can't do it. And I just looked at my guy, and he was stunned, and I'm like, I can't pick the bell back up. Yeah. So I just went and sat down and then cheered him on, and Mark finished.
Yeah,
So
he got it.
yeah, he got it.
That's awesome.
He got it. And I went up to the head instructor and I said, I am in some serious pain here. My rib is jabbing into my lungs and I can't take a deep breath. It was like I could take these short, but I couldn't inhale. Right. So he was like, is there any chiropractors here? So there was some orthopedic guy, orthopedic guy. And he's like, come with me. So he lays me down on the floor and he pops it right back in. Okay.
Oh my God.
And it was instant relief, but the area was so sore, I couldn't lift my arm up. So, but we had another 5 hours of practice for Mark to get the full certification.
Yeah.
So I said to him, you just go. I'll sit here. I'll read. I'll watch you. We can't leave here not certified. And he's like, no way. I'm not letting you sit here for 5 hours in pain, and then we have to drive 5 hours back. So we went up to the instructor and Mark told him what happened. And he was like, look, I'm not going to let her sit here for 5 hours. We have a guy in Pittsburgh who trains us, who's also certified to pass us. Can he pass us? And he was like, well, I'm sure we can work it out. You can go. So we left. So it's kind of a bummer. I mean, the highlight was he passed. Mark passed.
Okay.
Highlight was I stuck with him for the first 50 and I wouldn't have slowed down if I wouldn't have.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you learned a lot and you're a lot stronger and you've seen that you can do things that you necessarily didn't think you could do before. So that's huge.
Never thought. And just being there, like I realized that I want to be a part of that community.
Yeah.
They have, we looked last night, they have the certification, the second, this was the SFG 1, they have an SFG 2 and we already looked at it and we can almost do everything on there. We're like, okay, we're doing that next year. I mean, our first goal is we got to get out with this guy and he's going to pass us. And I worked out last night. It's feeling much better, much stronger. I'll do some snatches this weekend and maybe next weekend he can pass us. If not, I want to do it before Christmas for sure.
Right. I guess the lesson is, and I tell people a lot is that some of the most important thing that you can think about when you're training is injury prevention, and that's the difference of people winning and losing is injury prevention. And when you think about things that I do, like go ruck challenges, so a lot of people fail out just because they get hurt, not because they're tired or they quit. They can't keep going because they get hurt, and that's the difference of you finishing a 12-hour challenge versus falling out for 12 hours.
And it's not, I was so happy that it's just so funny that, that I got hurt because Saturday night I was like, I just did these 2 days and didn't get hurt. And then on a stretch, like, are you kidding me? And it's just, it was moving a certain way. Mm-hmm. And I think I was so tight. Those muscles were so tight from all the working out. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. And, that it just it
seized up on you.
It seized up, yeah. And then the spasm. What happened is even after he popped it back in, the muscle kept spasming.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't stop the spasms from happening, but that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
injury prevention is huge, my friends. Like being able to train and not be injured is like,
and know your body, because here's the thing: I didn't have a good feeling about stretching like that before. I didn't have a good feeling about it. Go with that. Mm-hmm. Like we were both, Mark and I don't stretch like that before. Do what you do. And just know, because it wasn't like they forced us to.
No.
Like if I would have been like, no, I'm not, if I would have stood in the back and just been like, yeah, I'm not doing that before I snatch. Well, I don't know my body well. I'm getting to know.
So here's the thing. So now that, Mark is certified and then, you were damn near, inches away from it. Do you think that someone could come to you and be like, I want you to train me on kettlebells? You'd be like, okay, you can pay me. You feel way more comfortable to do that.
Oh my God. Like, like completely.
Do they go over program design or any of that with him?
I have a book. Yes. They have a go over program design. I've never felt more confident in, because now I know what to look for. They teach you every position I mean, I know you know, but I'm just saying, like when you were like double snatches for pressing, where does your wrist need to be? Where's where's your elbow? Like where are your feet? They make you so body aware.
Well, and then why? Because
now I know why.
Injury prevention. That's
Absolutely.
all it is. You have to be in the correct form to make sure.
And that's another thing I guess I was mad about is because, they just show us like, okay, do this stretch, but instead of tearing down the stretch, like do this, then do just like they did with the other stuff. They didn't do that. So I'm sure I was wrong. I'm sure whatever I did, I was in the wrong position. I'm sure of it because I don't think I would have gotten injured if I was doing it right.
Right.
But because it was a quote unquote warm up and it was basically to try to promote their next thing, they didn't really go into it too much. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and as we're recording this Thursday, right? Tomorrow I leave for my next strongman competition. And one of the things, we didn't really talk about it, but one of the events is deadlift, last man standing. So it's going to start, the barbell is going to start at 365 and everyone goes through, and then it's going to go up by 25 pounds each time. So the last time I deadlifted, it was actually more than 2 weeks ago, because I could feel my hamstring, my left hamstring was really tight, and I knew it was associated with my QL, which is your lower back muscle. So I focused this past 2 weeks on really lengthening him and stretching him and building strength back up. So I haven't deadlifted in 2 weeks, but I know that if I would have kept deadlifting, thinking that I needed to be deadlifting to increase the deadlift, I could have really hurt myself. But now I feel good going into Saturday. I'll be able to pull 500 something,
And that's what I think you're always just learning about is your body.
Right.
Because it's like, yes, I can teach somebody how to swing a kettlebell and I can, but they also have to listen to their body and what feels good. I mean, but they also taught us how to feel what feels good. And once you got the correct form and you're like, I've been swinging a kettlebell for a year. And now when I work out, it's a completely different swing. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Yep. It takes time, but you just have to, when you're training, I think you really have to listen to your own body and know what,
and for anyone with these certifications, you have to really do your homework on which ones are going to be worth your time. You guys invested a lot of money. I have certifications that I invested a lot of money. Probably the biggest cert that I have is the fitness specialist one. That was through the college. That took me a year.
Right.
It took me a year to get, and we went through advanced physiology classes, biology classes, chemistry. They put us through all that stuff. Just, that's a part of the certification. So that's like a good foundation. But these, I wouldn't be able to take someone kettlebell and be as, specialized as you are with the kettlebell and being able to critique it too much. My specialty is more barbell stuff. So, if you have those like ground certifications or foundational certifications, it's good to get these strong first, or they have their body weight fitness ones. It's good to keep going. You should always be a white belt. That's a white belt mentality. Like I would tell someone like, oh, I want to train a kettlebell. Like, okay, well, I can direct you into someone because I'm not an expert in the kettlebell. I can explain you the basics of a swing and benefits and all that stuff. But if you really, really want to learn the kettlebell, go to their directory, find a coach near here, and they'll hook you up.
Now, if you would have been there with everything that you have fitness wise, like when I laid down on the floor and the guy was like, take a deep breath and tell me when it hurts, could you have popped it? Would you have known what it was? Or is that really for a doctor?
Yeah. For myself, it would have been, that's more for, because I remember when I took my strength coach level 2 certification, I met a physio there, right? And I would talk to him a couple times, but 2 weeks, it was literally like less than a month, two or 3 weeks later, I saw the same guy at a seminar here in South Carolina, which was crazy. So I saw him and I was talking to him. I'm like, yo, I really messed up my hip. Like, I said, I can explain all the muscles that go across the hip. And I was telling him what it feels like with the muscle, which one he taught, and he was feeling it. So he does a lot of like their real, expertise is palpating the muscle or touching the muscle to understand how it feels. And maybe if it's tight, like how to press on it to know what's wrong with it. So that's their expertise. I wouldn't have known. I would have been like, I don't know, would it stretch it out?
And you know what? That's the exact opposite thing. It's really interesting because I have pulled this same thing, this same exact injury I had about a month ago. Okay. So I knew that. Oh, that's why I knew. Right. Yeah. But your tendency is to go like this. But he was like, when you have that urge, go into it because you need that rib to go back in. You don't want to pulling it like this is pulling it back out. So he said, when you're driving home, try to, every time you feel your muscle spasm, go into it instead of out of it. And he was right. I mean, he saved me. The next day I was like, all right, I'm taking today off, but I swung them the last 2 days with nothing.
So now moving forward, you think you're going to go for the kettlebell 2 or you want to try something
Absolutely.
different?
We're definitely going to get the certification for number 2 because we're so close. We didn't know. We had no idea that. Did you ever hear of a windmill?
With and those
the windmill and the bendovers.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, he does a lot of those pictures with the windmills. His company, his supplement company on it is really cool. They have like those maces, and they have the kettlebells that have like the big gorilla face on it that are like 100 pounds plus. It's really cool. Eventually.
Yeah, and I don't have to go up. I don't know. I may have to go to a 35, but I already pressed. They had you do this one thing where they were like, we're definitely going to increase your press. Everybody will increase their press today. Yeah. And then they showed you how, and I pressed 35s.
How did they do it? Was it what? Tightening muscles?
You tighten this muscle, then tighten this muscle, now tighten this muscle. And he's like, and then all these people got their PRs.
My press increased dramatically when I focused on core strength, and right before that little dip, you dip before you press with your knees, you tighten every single leg muscle you have,
and your fist butt. On the other hand.
Yeah,
like for us, I mean, this was a one-armed press.
Yeah, it creates tension, and the tension is stability. So it's like with your bench press. If you want to bench press more weight, right? And when you lay down on the bench press, if your toes are only touching the ground, you have what's called energy leakage, right? So energy leakage is coming out of you could think about it as like coming out of your heels rather than keeping them firm and down and tight. If your legs are tight, then you'll be able to bench press more. It's creating tension. So
well, they did the handshake drill, like to prove it to us. Did you ever do that? Where you shake someone's hand and then you tighten one muscle and then shake it and then tighten another. And then you can feel that your power,
increases.
Increases. So that was really cool. And, we met so many great people.
And that's the great thing about that is the people that you meet and the community that starts
I mean.
Oh, I remember you. And then you see those people because they go to the same seminars. They go, they're all in the same groups on Facebook and you're always talking.
Yeah.
I've met people 3 years ago now that I still talk to from even I have a really good friend that I met last year at the Strength Camp Challenge, and that I'm seeing this weekend. I can't wait to see him. And it's since then. And we talk all the time on Facebook.
And that's the thing. Like, I want to be a part of the Strong First community. Like, I got home and, Mark and I each had 10 friend requests each from everybody, exactly. Everybody's friend requesting everybody. And, you feel like you went through it together because everybody, you got to know, they switched you up with partners the entire time. Yeah. And they kept saying, this is a partner, the partnership, not a marriage, because it was a constant, but I got to meet, that's how you get to deal with different people and also get to work with different people and they show you how to do it. You show them how to do it. You get to,
Right. Yep.
So it was very
really cool.
It was very, very cool. And I can't wait to do it again. Like I said, we went on Strong First and we're like, okay, there's another one that Mark wants to do. I want to do the flexibility one. I'm trying to talk him into it. I really want to do flexibility.
That'd be fun.
I know, but he's very flexible, but I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just every 6 months. Like, I don't see why not every 6 months. Mm-hmm. If once you get through and you have to recertify some of the stuff, but I think to keep it up and to keep yourself in the program, it should be every 6 to 9 months. You should be, training for something.
Which just shows you the importance of setting something in front of you that's a challenge that just stimulates your life altogether. And it puts something scary in front of you that makes you train out of your mind and makes you do something crazy. It doesn't have to be physical. Physical would help, but it could be something that's really challenging, like anything, and the benefits of it from, increasing your just quality of life is awesome. If you're not training for something, if you're not pushing toward something that's out there, tangible, real thing. Like they use like SMART goals, right? You ever hear of a SMART goal? When you have a SMART goal is, so say you have a goal and you use our acronym SMART. You have specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and timely. And you have those things, and it's amazing. So yes, I have this strength camp challenge I've been training for a while now, 3-4 months. And specifically, and then right after that, I start training for the Go Ruck Heavy, which is,
I mean, you do things more than every 6 months. Yeah, you're out there more than that.
I get
but for our lifestyle, I think every 6 months is pretty good.
The thing about this is like, so I'm going from strongman training, strongman competition to I'm going to be outside with a pack, because the Go Ruck Heavy is 24-hour endurance pack like hike. So it's going to be 24 hours, and you start at nighttime and you end it at nighttime. So it's going to be crazy. So I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait to get out there and just start.
I can't wait till you do it.
Feet,
I can't wait.
So it's going to be cool.
Another thing is, did you ever realize how hungry you are? Like my hunger was, now I should say hunger. It wasn't like a hunger pain, but when they would break, like when we go to lunch, it had to be a substantial, and then I'd eat and I was like, this isn't filling me up. Yep. This is not filling, like, I don't know, my body needed, and I was trying not to eat a lot because I knew what I have to do when I go back, and I didn't feel like throwing up while I was doing it, but that didn't happen. It didn't, absolutely a half an hour after I got done eating, it was like, okay, Then we go to dinner and I'm like, we just eat and no junk food, just good meals. But I didn't know if I was like, I wonder if Kyle ever experiences this when he's working out.
When I was doing my Marine Corps martial arts instructor course. So it's like a 3-week, you're doing martial arts, ground fighting all day, every day, running through the woods. I was in the Marine Corps. It was the most brutal training I've ever gone through. Boot camp and everything combined, nothing compared to this martial arts instructor course. And I remember me and my buddy afterwards, we'd go to the chow hall on base and just crush like probably 5,000 calories worth of food. And that didn't feel like enough because we were going for 8 hours. Just,
it was crazy.
The look in your eyes are just like, I'm so beat. I just need this food and I'm going to go to bed.
Right. I need to eat and then I'm going to go to bed. But
yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, so there it is. And bang. I had to, and everybody, for those of you who don't know me, keeping things from Kyle is almost the hardest thing in the whole world for me to do.
Like, I did tell on the podcast. I'm like, okay.
You're like, okay, see how that, but I did. I made it, but we had very little contact this week, and I think that helped. Like
I was busy.
we didn't get a lot of time, so I did tell Zach, and I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you this, but you can't call Kyle. He's like, all right, I'll try to refrain from calling Kyle. Go ahead.
That's funny.
Yeah, so he does know, and I did end up telling Ian because he said he hated me for forever if I didn't tell him.
Leah Remini.
How did they? Forever since I've known her, to me she was Remini, right? But it's not. It's Remini.
Yeah, because Remini,
which is funny, but
Remini. She's insane. Funny girl. First of all,
hysterical. I mean, I always thought she was hysterical, though. She's been a personality. She's kind of been out there for, like I said, I've known about her before King of Queens. I didn't even know how. She's one of those people where you're like, I know her, and I don't know how.
That's how I did too.
Yeah, she just has been out there, and she was in Living Dolls, but I didn't really watch that.
Yeah,
and I did remember her in Cheers a little bit. I don't know. It's like just on and off as a person. I just knew who she was. So, okay. I finished it this morning.
So Scientology, right? This is what the book is about. Troublemaker is what the book is called.
Right.
So let's start off. Think about this, guys. So Scientology, she starts off by explaining the purpose or the overall scope of Scientology, right? And she starts explaining it like, it's to show people their true potential and create an environment that enhances their life and show them the way that they can do all these great things in their life and how to increase it all. And you're like, okay, I understand that.
I get it. Right.
That's a good community. People, helping each other. Absolutely. And then it just like takes a 90-degree angle turn. And you're like, holy shit.
I can definitely see the attraction to Scientology.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, some of their principles, you're like, oh, and when you see the movie stars that are in it, okay, John Travolta, Tom Cruise, Kirstie Alley, Jenna Elfman, like, and you look at their lives and you're like, I want that. Mm. I want to be Tom Cruise. Look at how awesome Tom Cruise is. Look at how awesome John Travolta is. I want to be them, like Kirstie Alley. I like her. She's great. Leah Remini. I love her. And then all it takes, like, as you read her book, and she wasn't somebody, which I didn't understand. This is not Tom Cruise. Okay. Mm. This woman was in Scientology from a young child. Yeah. Okay. And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And, so Tom Cruise didn't get into Scientology until after he became, I'd say when he moved to Hollywood. I don't even, risky business. I mean, early in his career, but not before. Okay.
So that's why she felt like, who the hell is Tom Cruise?
Yeah. Okay. And why is all of a sudden Tom Cruise in charge of our religion? Like, why is he the standard for our religion? But what did I tell you last night? What happened at his wedding?
Yeah.
Like,
wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy stuff. And
I'm kind of below. Well, the thing is like, so when it first started happening and she's in this like, group home, seemed like in Florida, and she's doing all this stuff. She's cleaning these hotels for paying Scientology guests and all that. And it seemed like the principals were like, she talked about like standing in formations, like musters and all this stuff and saying, yes, sir. I was like, this is kind of like military boot camp right now. Like just the dumb rules and they make it's all real formal. Right. And I'm like, they're putting these like regular people through these things. And I guess it's to teach them, I guess it went a long way with her with maybe work ethic and all that. But when you hear about the stories of how she got thrown over the boat by her one like person that was in charge of her, because she kept talking back to him and she wouldn't say yes, sir. And he threw her over the boat into the water.
Actually, what I thought was pretty amazing about her is that because of who she was naturally,
yeah,
I think she was able to come out of it and be okay because they couldn't break her. Church.
Yeah,
she could, they couldn't break her spirit like they wanted to, and
she would have made that church real right because she's saying, okay, I gave you $300,000. Show me a fucking picture of you handing water to someone in Katrina. She gave hundreds of thousands.
And they were handing out pamphlets.
Yeah, they're like
Scientology pamphlets.
Yeah, they were just down there handing out Scientology pamphlets. She's like, no, I want you to show an effing picture of the director handing some effing water to someone that needs down there using my $300,000. And they're like, well, no, unless you're going to show me the picture, I don't want to talk to you. And they had these like weird rules about asking for a refund. Like you technically could ask for a refund, but if you did, you were then an RP, which is a repressive person. Or SP, suppressive person.
Suppressive person, yes.
So you were SP and then you were excommunicated from the church and all that. She's like, I'm not asking for a refund. I'm asking for credit back because you guys effed up.
and yeah, just how about, I mean, she when she met her husband, who's now her husband, and I thought that what they took her through actually really worked.
Yeah.
It was like they stopped her from having an affair with a married man. She did all the right things. I mean, she used Scientology to go back to him and say, this is wrong. I want you and your wife to go to counseling, even at the hurt of her own. Right. Yeah. I mean, she did all the right things, which seemed so when she was doing that, I was like, well, that's not bad advice. I mean, that's pretty good advice. I mean,
it just gets so corrupted when you talk about like dealing with the celebrities and you're dealing with huge amounts of money.
Right.
You're having to follow all of these policies. And then there's policies that just come up from out of the blue saying that people can hit people to get them to adhere to the program.
And, how about like every time she cursed?
Yeah, she got written up for it.
Yeah, and she'd pay money. She'd have to pay money. They were like, okay, well, you now owe us money. And I saw in the interview, I mean, I know this covered in the book, but I'd forgotten it, is that she's over at Tom Cruise's house and he is being very inappropriate with Katie Holmes, who is not married to at the time. And she was like, you two need to get a room as a joke. And he writes her up.
Mm-hmm. When he was acting off policy.
Yeah, he's acting off policy, and she's like, I just want people to obey what we're and I get written up because he's Tom Cruise. Like she just didn't understand why Tom Cruise got to be the guy that he got to be.
Why she just kept saying, why is Tom Cruise in charge of our church, in charge of our religion? Because
do you think you can look at him the same again?
No. It was weird because I was looking at when I was watching a video of it last night of her interview. And it would show pictures of Tom Cruise. I'm like, wow. Like the image you have of Tom Cruise, like such a nice guy, such a great actor and all that stuff. And then you see like how he would like talk to someone. Like he sent someone to that flog, which is like their detention camp, because his assistant served him a mug with a chipped cup. Yeah, like a chip in his cup. And he's like, you serve someone that's this high in Scientology a chipped cup? You know who these are for? These are for whatever the people are, whatever the name they give them. They have these weird names for people. And he sent him to like this Scientology detention center that they have in Florida that they can never get out of. And then you have people like the assistant to the board of director or whatever that went missing for 6 years, and the cops never looked into it.
Now, did they ever find her?
She didn't say. She said they closed the case. They never. I didn't look up afterwards.
I wanted to look that up. I forgot to look it up actually, and I will look it up after the show. But I wanted to see if they had actually ever found her. And and every time she'd ask that, how scary was that? They were like, "You are not ranked high enough to ask that question."
Yeah, and she was pretty high. She was like a 7, right?
Yeah, and she's paying millions of dollars.
And her mom was like an 8, whatever that.
Her mom became an 8.
Yeah,
a level 8. At level 8, you were supposed to find. Okay, the key to the secret of life was supposed to open up, right? And when her mom got to 8, that's when when Leah got out, her mom was just hitting the 8,
right?
And her mom was like, "I just want to finish the 8, and then we'll talk," kind of a thing. Well, when she did the 8 and nothing came out, nothing happened, and her mom was like, "Maybe you're right."
She didn't go that much into the details of Scientology and like their actual beliefs. It was more just like the policies. But I guess it gets way weirder than
you want to hear a funny story, though?
Yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard was a science fiction writer, okay? My dad read every one of his books.
Really?
He was obsessed with L. Ron Hubbard books.
Wow.
Okay? And the thing about his books, and I didn't know until I got older, is I remember, because I was a reader, these books were all over our house, right? So I remember picking one of them up, and the sex scenes are like, they were X-rated. Wow. And I was like, of course I was young and I was like, okay. And I put it back down. Well, then my dad bought Dianetics, which I didn't know. And, it would be laying around. I'd have to say, I don't even know what year that book came out, but I'd have to say at that time I was between 18 and 20. And I kept picking it up and then I was like, what is it? What is this? Like, I thought it was going to be a fiction book, but it wasn't fiction, but it looked like fiction. I know you've never read it, but it is the strangest book ever. I mean,
what is Dianetics? She would mention it. Like, what is
Dianetics? Was the book that was the basis of Scientology. That was the beginning of Scientology. Was Dianetics.
Crazy.
So look at, even if the book came out, I'd have to look. I just didn't have time to see exactly when that book came out. But this is not a religion. This is not a religion of 100.
God.
And it's not 100-year-old religion. Yeah. It's not
so new.
She's younger than me. Her mom was probably in the beginning, in the very beginnings of the organization of the church. So, what I thought was really funny was that Tom Cruise's wedding. So Suri, who's 5 months old at the wedding, is in the back crying. And their thing is like, you have to talk to children as if they're adults. You're not allowed to talk to them as if they are children. And Tom Cruise's sister's standing over Suri going, "What is the matter?" She's a 5-month-old baby. Yeah. "What is the matter?" And
Siri,
Leah's like,
"Stop crying."
Yeah, Siri, stop crying now. And Leah's like, "Does she have a bottle?"
No, we have to warm it up. Okay, we're in a restaurant. I'm sure they have a freaking, microwave around here somewhere.
I watched it. I don't know if you saw this interview, but she really teared up, and Leah did.
I think I did. That was when Katie Holmes reached out back to her, and it's like, I wish all the success for her, for Leah. She started to tear up because she said she knew what she was going through was crazy. Right.
Well, and she said she always felt a kinship to Nicole Kidman because, okay, so let's think about this. So Tom Cruise marries these women, right? And brings them into Scientology. Nicole Kidman, back in that day, and I had no idea what it was about. And she was like, thank you. No, thank you. Gone. Leaves for Australia. Do you realize that Nicole Kidman got cut off from her kids?
I know. And the kids turned against her.
Yeah.
And she
but at least Katie Holmes got out with her daughter. And that's what Leah was saying. Like, she got out with their daughter. She doesn't even know how she did it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like the thing is Katie Holmes was so mean to her when she was in because you get brainwashed. And then at the end of the story, you hear about how Scientology like tries and finds these girlfriends for Tom Cruise.
Which is how crazy is that? They ruin these women.
Yeah.
They ruined that one woman's life.
They go out and they do all this research and try to find this Scientologist that's like should rate to be Tom Cruise's girlfriend. Then they're like, okay, then they train her and all this stuff and give her all this training, and then they meet, on accident. They ruin
her family life, though. Yeah. They ruin her family life. They have to destroy her family life, first of all, so that their family doesn't talk her out of what they're trying to do to her. Yeah. So they get her cut off from her entire family. And then, they get her to meet. But then they meet, and Tom doesn't like her.
And she gets sent somewhere.
She gets sent, and she was like, what happened? And he's like, the one guy's like, can I talk to Tom? No.
And they were like dating for a while, and they're like, no, you can't talk to Tom. They sent her someplace and like, don't mention Tom Cruise. Don't say anything about Tom Cruise ever. You're not allowed. And they put her in a detention place. She's like, what even, what is life? Like what the hell just happened?
It's so crazy. But I have to tell you, when at the end of the book, when she was talking about religions, and I think why this hit me so hard, and you'll know, is that I didn't have a church that I got involved in when you were a child. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like I joined an extreme Christian church. But the people that I became friends with were involved in very fundamentalist Christian. And I say fundamentalist, like you can take any religion and then you can just go to the nth degree. Yeah. Any religion, especially with all this ISIS stuff coming up, you can take any religion. Islam is not the problem. It's not, Judaism's not a problem. Christianity is not a problem. The problem lies is when the people take it to the extreme. Yeah. And I know exactly how she felt because I know that when I was there and my life didn't work out, it was a constant, it's me. It's got to be you. It's got to be you. You have to be the problem. And, we talked about this before, like when you and Kara had that very bad month of, she got sick and you were visiting jail. Yeah. My Christian quote unquote friends were like, well, what are you doing wrong? And it was like, it was all about me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but I'm doing all the right things and I'm praying at this time and I'm going to church and I'm doing, and when grandma started getting sick, and I spent some time down in Florida with Wayne, I have to say, like, he pulled me out of that mentality. Because if you go through life thinking it's all your, like everything that happens is your fault, you get a sense of like, I can't win. I can't do enough right.
Yeah, I operate better on it not being my fault, but whatever happens to me, I feel like entrusted to be able to deal with. You know what I mean? It's almost like I'm not going to be presented with something that I can't deal with. I'm not acting in a way to bring on these things. I'm being, I'm acting morally, ethically. I'm not doing anything wrong in my eyes, which is the only eyes that matter. I could care less what anyone thinks about what's right and wrong because there is no such thing in my opinion as well. So what's right to someone is wrong to another person. So how do you deem what's right and wrong? I have what I think is right and wrong for me and, and the people close to me, and we all, pretty much agree. So that's all I really care about. And it's tough in that sense.
And Kara, I was talking to Kara the other day because I was telling her when I was talking to Annie, we were talking about Annie, and I was talking to Annie about her boyfriend, Tyler, and Annie is 20. Okay. She's an adult. She can make adult decisions. And, I was kind of giving her that speech. Yeah. You're an adult now. You get to decide. This is, you get to decide your life now. You are 20 now.
You're in your 20s. Yeah.
You're in your 20s. And Kara was like, well, that's not fair because, at least she gets you like that. But when I was 20, you didn't think that way. And I said, Kara, you're right. I didn't. I really had a different set. Like, I thought there were these things you had to do this, and then you had to do this, and then you had to do this. And, I'm like, you're right. I didn't treat you like that, but all I can say is that you grow.
You do grow.
You say what you,
you
and you change it. And I don't even know that I have, if somebody were to say, well, do you have the answers? I don't have any answers.
No.
Do I think Annie at 20 should marry Tyler? I don't know. I mean, does she think she should? I don't have that. And, there are people that would be like, oh my God, 20 years old and you're going to get married. And then there are other people like, well, if he's going to be your boyfriend, you should definitely be married at 20 because you shouldn't be with him. And, you've got those two opposite.
There's so many different viewpoints. And then there's so many examples to present each side being right.
Right.
And one of Nikita's best friends, they got married. They got married right out of high school, and he joined the Navy, and they went to Japan, and they're still married. And they're 30 years old, so they've been married 11 years, and they got two girls. And Nikita's real good friends with them. We go out with them all the time, but they told her, like, when they got married, they got so much resistance from both sides of the family. You can't be married. You're only 18. Blah blah blah. But they made it. But there are hundreds of thousands of examples of 18-year-olds getting married and divorcing and being terrible, and kids are getting treated terrible, and it's a very sad story. But that just shows there is no right and wrong, because it can be very right. It can be very right, and it can be very wrong at the same time. So it just shows it's not a black and white thing situation.
And even like, so Kara just gets engaged, and we're all happy for her. And, and she was talking about her wedding, and she's like, well, don't you think, you always said I should get married? And I'm like, yeah, if you want to get married, like, that's awesome. I would never tell you not to, but I'm not saying you have to. But I wouldn't be on the other end going, now, Kara, you have 2 sons with this man. You definitely should be in church as quickly as possible getting married.
Yeah, do whatever you want to do.
Do what feels good for you, because who am I to tell you how you're supposed to do it?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. And when it came to them, Karen and Ricky, I was like, are they gonna get married? Or like, people ask me, I don't know if they're gonna get married. Do I see him as like a brother-in-law? Yeah, he's been there since for over 5 years, I think now. So yeah, I consider him a part of the family. He's
the father of my grandsons,
father of my nephews. It's a big thing, and him and I talk all the time. So it's like, what is that extra title of husband versus fiance? And get away from the social programming a little bit and just be able to see for what it is. And he loves her and she loves him, and they have 2 beautiful sons together, and they're a part of the family, and you treat them that way. It doesn't matter what the whole title is, and it needs to be right because they need to be husband and wife and all that stuff. Legally, yes, it might help them in the future with buying houses and all that stuff. It might be a beneficial thing for taxes and all that bullshit, that America puts on us with marriage. So it might help them in the future. True. But
even getting older, like, I think about that a lot. Like, I'm not married, and, something happens to Mark.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, and I can't, because we're not married, but are you supposed to get married just so that I can get into a hospital room to see him in case something, it's the government so far, has control of marriage. Went from being a religious thing to being a social, I don't know, what would you call it?
It's like legality thing. It's only pertaining to legality. Like, say I was just engaged to Nikita, and God forbid I got hurt and I'm in the hospital. She wouldn't be able to get in there because she's just like a fiance. But since she's the spouse, now they give you rights.
Rights. Yeah, then you get all these quote unquote rights, and I just after being divorced twice, I'm here to tell you that I have no answers. With the whole, but I get like when she was talking, like thinking that she did everything the way that she thought was right. It's like we all just try. If you're stuck in some kind of mentality and you think there's this like right, it's like, no, life isn't like that. Life just isn't that simple. Mm-hmm. Okay. There is no like simple, clear cut. If you do this, then everything in your life is going to turn out right. No.
Yeah. It's not true. I always, whenever I think about something saying like, well, this is the right way, that this is the correct path, I'm like, I'm right away think, play the devil's advocate and be like, well, really, no, that's not right, because there's this person over here that's done a different way, or this person believes a different way, and they've been successful, or they've achieved what they wanted to achieve. But the thing is, you just have to focus on what you feel is right within yourself, and give zero shits about what other people think. Right. And it really comes down to it. I could care less what you think. If, even as the differences of like, we may not agree on everything. If you want to believe something about, whatever, that's fine.
Right.
I mean, when you're pertaining to Christianity and you can consider them old religions, like, I don't know. There was times that it really helped me, and there's times that I like kind of went away from it. But is that wrong? Like, oh, you're not faithful. Like, no, I just use these tools. These tools where I was really obsessed with some of the Christian authors, and I loved their books and stuff, and it helped me. So why is that a wrong thing to use? And then I moved to other people that are not Christians, that will speak maybe against Christianity or religion, that helped me in a certain way too. So why is that it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Well, and
I thought that was, you didn't hear the very last minute of her book, but the best part was that she had to go to Jennifer Lopez. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jennifer Lopez's dad is as a Scientologist. Okay. Yeah. And Leah's best friends with Jennifer. And she had to tell Jennifer that she had left the church because what happened since she became an SP, she said, I need to tell this woman that her dad's going to be calling her. Okay. Yeah. And so she went to Jennifer Lopez and she was like, I just need to tell you, I left the church. Your dad's going to be calling you and telling you you're going to have to pick between him and me. And I just want you to know, pick him, like he's your dad. And, I wish you the best of luck and I love you. And Jennifer's like, what? That's the craziest thing I ever heard of. I'm not picking between anybody. There's nobody that's going to tell me who to be friends with. And, and then Leah was, really upset about Scientology. And she said the best advice she got was from Jennifer Lopez. And she said, look, it wasn't all wrong. Your life wasn't all wrong. No. Take the good, take the great parts about Scientology, and move on.
Yep. And use them. There are excellent things, excellent teachings on Scientology that have, rules and principles and following paths, and that's a great thing. You use these principles to help you get to the next level of things, not necessarily their levels, but your level of being.
There's some great things about Scientology that I definitely understand. And you can look at the movie stars you look at Tom Cruise and you see what he's achieved. A lot of his success has been because he's followed a lot of the principles of Scientology. Mm-hmm. There are things that you can take from it and move on.
Just like reading any of those books, like the Quran, and you have all the books from the religions that there are great Buddha teachings. Yep. Like there's great teachings in those books, and people have such a negative thought when it comes to like Muslim and the Quran and stuff. Well, if you look like the numbers, there's like 1.6 billion Muslims in the world, and less than 0.005% are actually like terrorists, where you want to label as terrorists. So you think about what that number is. Right. And it's so minute that you shouldn't even look at Muslim as being a negative thing, because there are actually like more terrorist Catholics in the world than Muslims. So, the Muslim might just have more money. So that's really why people think that.
So I'm really happy we did it. I'm really happy we did it.
Yeah. It was an awesome book. I read it in one day. It was almost 8 hours. I did it in one day.
Quickest book ever. I mean, it was awesome.
I laughed with her. I was sad for her, and I saw the child that was involved, and her mom. Remember what the child said at the end? She said, you can leave Scientology in your head, but it's not gone until you leave it in your heart. And she was like, what? Did that just come from your mouth? You hear about those kids that have all these profound sayings, and that's one. She said her daughter said that to her, and she was like, well, shit.
Well, Leah, I did contact your agent yesterday
to be on
our show. Yeah, because and we don't have to talk about Scientology. We can just laugh because I think you're one of the funniest people on this planet. So
yeah, for sure, that's
enjoyed the book immensely.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's it, my friends.
Okay. So let's talk about Thanksgiving. Okay, you got your thing this weekend,
which we'll talk about next time.
Right, which will definitely, next weekend is Thanksgiving. So we have to decide, are we going to do another? I did not get to see the 33. I will see it this weekend.
Okay.
We can talk about that. If we do a show right before Thanksgiving, we can talk about the 33. We can talk about your cert or your strongman.
No, the competition. Yeah, we'll talk about the competition, how that went down.
You are the last man standing.
No, I know it's not going to be that way. And I know that's not a right mindset, but the problem is that it's not by weight class. So
it was. I thought you said it was by weight class.
No weight classes. So it's by Elliot Holtz, right? It's kind of just yes, the winner is getting $10,000, but it's going to be some sponsored athlete, powerlifter. Like last time, that was his job, was powerlifting competition, sponsored athlete. His full-time job is to lift weights. So it's with a grain of salt that I'm going, but my goal is to beat every person under 200 pounds. That's
awesome.
That's
and
my
I
goal,
just want to wish you the best of luck, and I know you'll be awesome. You'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
That's the biggest thing. There's going to be a lot of YouTube celebrities that I've been following for years that'll be there. So meet and greet, try to get them on the Crow podcast. And I'm actually getting off here and about to do an interview with a guy that is an endurance athlete, crazy endurance athlete. So if you haven't already.
All right. Sure. Well, I want to tell you that I have a fun book for you to listen to on your way. Okay.
With Nikita?
David. Yeah, you and Nikita. Okay, to listen to because you got a long drive ahead, and it's a quick read. It's a quick thing. David Spade's new book.
Is it a memoir?
It's a memoir, but it's it's hysterical. It's his stand-up routine. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen his routine or not, but basically it's a combination of every one of his routines.
It's like the opposite way of what I was thinking. I was gonna play this like Dr. Robert Moore's teaching lectures to her, and I know she'd be so bored with it.
Okay, well, let me just tell you, if you need to laugh, it's a quick thing. You can listen to, you can laugh. We won't have any serious conversations to talk about David Spade. It's and we'll basically just talk about the 33 and your competition.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Make sure you're checking out the Facebook page. We're sharing all kinds of stuff. We'll share what happened to that Sherry girl from the book.
We will. I will be researching that, and I will be putting lots of stuff up there about Leah. A lot of interviews and stuff.
Updates of what we're reading. If any changes, make sure you check out the Facebook. Just search Son of a Mother Podcast on Facebook, and it'll pop up right there with our pretty faces. And you'll be able to follow us there with any of the shows that come out. Lately, they've been coming out on Tuesday, so maybe that might be a thing. But Tuesday, Monday type time frame. So thank you. Do you have a sign off?
Thank you.
I know my sign off.
What? Maybe
stay strong.
Oh, I was gonna say be strong.
Nope, you gotta pick something else. You gotta go with like it's gotta be the yin to the yang. So mine is like strength, and you gotta be like love.
Spread love.
Spread love.
Spread love. Be love.
No, not be.
What did you say? Be strong.
Stay strong.
I was gonna try to use the same.
Maybe love more. Ooh.
Stay strong. Love more.
Holy shit.
That's awesome. We just did it.
Look at us.
Woo.
Okay. All right, my friend.
I think we'll be signing off everything like that. So you're going to see it a lot. So this is what
I'll say. So I'll say, all right, my friends, I will talk to you next time. Stay strong. And then you'll say, love more.
Love more.
Okay. All right, my friends, we will talk to you next time. Stay strong.
Love more.